We lost a pro wrestling legend today, the Iron Sheik.
The Rock did a tribute to Iron Sheik. Let's react to it.
I just want to say, well, a few things. Most importantly, I want to send my love and my support, my strength, my light, my mana, and my condolences to the Iron Sheik's family, who I consider Ohana. They are a family of ours too as well. As I think a few of you may know, I grew up calling the Iron Sheik Uncle Sheiky, and when my dad and the Iron Sheik used to wrestle together, not only in the WWE, but also before that when we were living in the Carolinas, in North Carolina. And my dad and the Iron Sheik were wrestling together there for the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA. Uncle Sheiky would come over to the house and his wife would babysit me, and I was about 8 years old at that time, and I was a pain in the ass even then. So God bless that woman, his wife Carol. Thank you, Carol, for putting up with all my shit as a kid. I hope you guys are staying strong, and again, I'm so sorry to hear the news. And I will say this, as someone who has professional wrestling in his blood, and had it not been for the world of professional wrestling, I would not have the life that I have today, because it was everything. And my grandfather was in pro wrestling, my dad, my cousins, my grandmother, everybody, you name it. So as a man who loves professional wrestling, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Iron Sheik and all of his accomplishments. And of course, there's so many Iron Sheik stories that are just classic and legendary as the man himself. I'll share this really quickly with you guys. So when I first started as a rookie in the WWE, it was a WWF at that time. In the world of pro, there is no world like pro wrestling. And when you're a rookie, you better tie your boots up pretty fucking tight, because that locker room is a tough one. And if you could survive it, then you got a good shot at making it. So when I first came into the WWE, the Iron Sheik had pulled me aside because, again, he was family. And he said, "Baba, let me tell you something." He said, he had this great accent. He said, "You come into the locker room, you sit down, you shut your mouth, you don't say anything, and you just watch and you learn. And then," he said, "and then you understand who the good people and who the jabronis." And then, by the way, as simplistic as that sounded, it was true. I sat there every night in the locker room, I'd shut my mouth and I'd just watch and I'd learn. And of course, a couple of years later, when I became The Rock, I borrowed the term jabroni, and The Rock says, "You jabroni, shut your mouth and know your role." I use that word, that jabroni. And by the way, jabroni became a fixture in lexicon. I believe it's in the Webster's dictionary now, and they give me credit for it. No. The truth is, all the credit goes to the Iron Sheik, because that was his word. He used it. I just happened to come along and, start saying it in my promos. "You jabronis!" But Iron Sheik, thank you. Thank you for the memories. And perhaps more importantly, thank you for paving the way for guys like me who love pro wrestling. So thank you, Iron Sheik, for the memories. You are a legend. You will be missed, but never forgotten.
What a tribute from The Rock. I love how he gave the credit to Iron Sheik for the word jabroni, which a lot of us still use, a lot of wrestlers use especially. Maybe that could be changed where Iron Sheik could get his credit for that online. That would be kind of cool if there's a way that can happen. Maybe one of you guys know how to make that happen. Let's do that. But yeah, The Rock is such a stand-up guy, an inspiration. He made being bold cool. Him, Michael Jordan, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And man, just beautiful words, man, beautiful words. I got to meet Iron Sheik at WrestleCade about 1.5 years ago. It was some bucket list shit. Like, I really wanted to meet him. I've met Teddy Long before. As you can see, there's a photo flashing. I actually pulled in Teddy Long because I was cool with him. I've interviewed him before, and I was like, "Teddy, get in the photo." And we had, the one and only Sergeant Slaughter there, and I was like, this is just amazing. It's so amazing that when you go to some of these conventions, you guys got to go to conventions if they're ever around your way. If you've never been to one and you're curious to go, just go. You have a blast. And if you're ever free during Thanksgiving weekend, during Black Friday till the end of the weekend. It's amazing over at WrestleCade, WrestleCade.com. I go every year, and that's how I met the Iron Sheik. As he got older, I noticed he actually did like cool out a lot, because when I met him, I thought he was going to be wild and crazy, and he wasn't. He was very reserved and relaxed, but with love. He wasn't like not talkative. He was super nice. I wanted him to write, like, I forgot what, but like stuff that had cursing on it. And he was like, no, Baba, I don't do that no more. So, you know, he was humbled, I guess, in his last years where he wasn't really saying crazy stuff. But yeah, this is the autograph Funko Pop. And he did say he was going to write a few things, but I really don't know what he wrote here or here. Maybe you guys could figure that out and write it in the comments. But such a amazing wrestler. The Iron Sheik to me was the ultimate bad guy. Him, and of course, you see what we got there, man. We've got the one and only Razor Ramon. Scott Hall, another amazing bad guy we lost. And they were so believable. Iron Sheik was so intense, so believable. The feuds with Hogan, the feuds with this man right here, like, it was unbelievable and magical. And that era of wrestling is just, it's next level, man. Oh, man. It's just so sad to see a legend go. One of the last bad guys that's still alive from that era that was just incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love how he talked about his father and him and the NWA, and that was beautiful too, man. You know, we've seen it on the Rock show, where you see Rock as a little kid interacting with them as he gets older, and the people that played the Rock, the kid that played the Rock, and the teenage Rock, such great work, those guys that were portraying the role of a young Rock. I love the show. What do you guys think of that show? Leave multiple comments, man. One thing I really want to know is, what's your thoughts on the Sheik, like on the Iron Sheik? What is your thoughts of him overall? What was your favorite moments, whether it was wrestling or not wrestling? Because he had crazy moments after on shows like Howard Stern, where he would just body and just roast Hogan. And then one day Hogan came on and they were talking, and that conversation ended with them both saying they loved each other. On my Twitter at DJ Dells, I've been posting so much stuff. Like that one time that Sheiky got a little too excited and the Johnson was in full effect, if you know what I'm saying. All these funny clips and classic clips will be posted, and they've been since yesterday. One of the greatest wrestlers of all times. He didn't have to do all these crazy moves because he was so believable that he was just crazy as hell and strong as a bull, right? And what he said, I know I felt he meant that. What he said, I know I felt he meant that. So it felt so real. And to this day, ultimate bad guy. No disrespect to Scott Hall also. That's why, look, I have him up there, you know. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of interviews with all types of, you know, entertainers, from musicians to wrestlers, just basically anything that I'm into. I try to meet these folks and interview them. I've had Sergeant Slaughter on the show. I've had Scott Hall on the show. So just dig into the wrestling content. It's a mixed bag here. I'll try to put pop-ups in a second. I'll put like a whole playlist together somewhere. Click on it in just a second and leave your comments. And rest in peace to Iron Sheik, and respect to The Rock for those amazing words. And also mention about the jabroni situation. Got to give credit where credit's due. We out, man. Call a loved one today, because you just never know. For real, let's end it off with that. Call a loved one today. You just never know, man. Love.